Patterson Foundation
strengthens people, organizations, and communities by focusing on issues that address mutual aspirations,
foster wide participation, and encourage learning and sharing.
Welcome to Beyond the Blog, a podcast of the Patterson Foundation. Hi, I'm Kiarra Louis, and the Initiative Support Coordinator for the Patterson Foundation, and your host today as we look into how TPF initiatives, Digital Access for All, Digital Navigator program is optimizing efforts towards long-term impact. To help me do that today is Joni Hansen, a TPF consultant who is also part of the Digital Navigators program and who is a trained Digital Navigator. Joni, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Kiarra. Thanks for having me on this lovely Monday morning.
Of course, happy to have you. So let's go ahead and get started with some background. Joni, if I remember correctly, you got involved with DA4A when you first became an ACT engager in efforts to help close the Affordable Connectivity Program's enrollment and eligibility gap. But what made you want to dive into that new role?
Well, when I saw that, and it was exciting in that I would be actually working with the end client, and not just all of the steps between to make sure that they're chosen and that they're eligible, I was going to be able to work with the end product, so to speak. And my whole government career was helping people either as a caseworker or constituent services.
Thank you for sharing that. And you became an ACP engager, and then once the opportunity came to become a digital navigator, you were thankfully one of the wonderful women who became part of our Fantastic Five. You signed up to be a TPF digital navigator, but I do remember you were hesitant. Do you mind sharing those initial reservations, hesitations that you had before committing to becoming a digital navigator?
I was hesitant because there were so many unknowns, and also this was on the ground floor. I liked that aspect, but still I was like, okay, what do we do? And then you had mentioned the data behind the scenes, and we'll keep lists, and you'll learn internet providers, and you'll learn devices, and you'll learn what are the training opportunities in 4 counties, and it's all different. And I was like, but I enjoy a good problem to solve, and I was gonna go for it. And at the same time, I was also recruiting some of the other girls. So I'm like, we're all going to do this together.
Thank you. I love that collaborative teamwork mindset. I'm not going to do it alone, but I'm going to find those who I can trust and who are supportive to do it with me. For those who may not even be familiar with that term, what is it that you actually do, Joni, as a digital navigator?
As a digital navigator, we are given names that have been carefully chosen and checked for eligibility, and then we work with them one-on-one, kind of a social worker for the internet, and we're helping them. We were doing ACP, and then that's fizzled out, but we're still going to be helping with internet providers, and do they need a better deal, because we all know how expensive internet is now. And then some families don't have a device for their family. I had one mom who said that her son, 8th grade son, didn't have a computer or a laptop at home. So it's a little hard to do your homework, and the school didn't give them one. I think they maybe loaned them one during the school year. And then to offer training, and each county has different resources for training. But I had one lady who wanted to move up the chain, but she didn't have the skills on the computer to do that. And so I hooked her up with the Women's Resource Center, and she was going to be able to maybe move on up the ladder. And I had another lady just wanted to learn some basic data entry. I mean, you can get good remote jobs, and mom can work at home with her kids. So there's just a real divide, or a lot of questions out there for these moms. So we're there to help them.
Thank you. And I like how you touched on each of the essential elements, because as we often talk about, internet is important, but it's not just the internet, but it's also the device so that they can use the internet, but it's also the skill support. I know, Sarasota Technology User Group, or as we like to call it, STUG, has been really helpful in helping us to secure devices. Do you have anything to add on what that relationship has been with. I'm trying to help get refurbished devices for the clients that you've been serving through the STUG route. That's not the only route, but through STUG.
That was a real easy. They're a little bit geographically challenged because someone in DeSoto or Northern Manatee or Charlotte might not be able to come during the limited hours that STUG has, but they're a wonderful group to deal with. I would send in the online form, and then I also would make sure that they sent me any updates. So as they would contact our clients, I was also there. Then I would follow up with the client, and they basically have the refurbished devices, and some people are like, oh, you mean it's used? I'm like, no, it's refurbished. And they take it back to the beginning and clean it up inside and outside. And I would rather have a refurbished device than no device any day.
Absolutely. I like how you kind of shed light about that. Part of being a digital navigator is education, just educating people. What do we mean by when we say refurbished, or what do we mean when we say affordable internet? Because sometimes you say affordable or low cost, and then people think cheap, and that means it's not good quality. So what other things have you found yourself, educating your clients about so that they can feel more comfortable about the services that we're offering them, if you can think of any?
Well, I sometimes I would hear like a little one in the background. I'm like, oh, do you have a, they're like, yeah, he's sick today. And so then I would kind of, sincerely ask how they're doing. And I know it's sometimes hard to be a stay-at-home mom or even a working mom, and how we can bring them the world to them when they can have a computer and internet. I can't imagine having two kids, a husband who maybe has to work from, pull up some reports, and a mom who's trying to, pay the bills, and they're sharing one laptop. And so anytime we can get the school-age child a device, a laptop or a tablet, and get mom something, and then have enough internet bandwidth coming into their house that they can all act. Unfortunately, this world is hooked up now to the internet, and it's not going back. We're not going back to the slate and chisel ever again. So we need to move forward.
I love that you touched on, one of TPF's from twos that I think the Digital Navigator program demonstrates so well, and that's moving from outputs to outcomes. Rather than focusing on short-term actions, we're optimizing efforts towards long-term impact. So yes, it's great. In the past when we were able to get, 5, 10 people enrolled in ACP, yes, it's great when we're able to get 5 people devices, but what's most important is that long-term impact that you just touched upon. Now that I have an internet, now that I have a device, or now that I'm learning how to use those two elements, like you said, like the world can be brought to me, and now I'm able to move up in my job. Now my children are able to catch up. Now they don't have to go to the library every day after school to wait to use the internet. So I love that. Any other impact stories that your clients may have shared with you, or that maybe just reaffirmed that you made the right choice in becoming a digital navigator, Joni?
I'll tell you, the lady that really brought it home was Miss T in Arcadia out in DeSoto County. She was awesome. Her family had been affected by Hurricane Ian, and they even had to move out of the county, and their son had to go to school on the other side of the state because there weren't enough places in Arcadia for them to stay. And meanwhile, they had just got back into their rental home, and we were getting them hooked up. And I think we got them a device as well. But it was life-changing to them because her husband had some health issues, and her son was in high school, and there just didn't seem like there was much money coming in, but the family still needs to eat. In fact, I sent him a $25 Publix gift certificate just to kind of help her out. I think it was right around before Thanksgiving. And she was just so appreciative. You'd have thought I gave her $1 million. And but she would call me and she's like, oh, here's your favorite lady, Miss T. And I mean, we were just, we were like cousins after a while. And she even hooked me up with her aunt and then her aunt's friend. And she needed some help with DeSoto Hopes and Catholic Charities. And so I made a few calls on her behalf. And I don't know if I really got any movement on that, but it sure sincerely made her feel good that even though I was the digital navigator, I was helping her just with some life problems that maybe she needed just a little bit of a push with.
Thank you for doing that. Once again, Joni Hansen, you continue to go above and beyond connecting people to other services or any other way you can help them. You continue to do that beyond the world of digital assets. So we're very thankful for that. What would you say, Joni, to those who have heard about digital navigation, who heard about the TPF Digital Navigator program, but are like, they may be as hesitant as you were about, should I really get involved in this? What would be any words of wisdom that you may share, that you would share with someone like that?
Well, I have loved almost everything I've done since I started with TPF, working with the books and the families and the great colleagues and all that. But even the best so far has been digital navigation. I like the one-on-one sitting, and I didn't always do Zoom. I mean, a lot of this was just phone calls. But, and I would say to someone, hey, do you want to do Zoom? They're like, oh, no, not right now. We'll just do a phone call. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I didn't have my lipstick on anyway. So, but they were just so, and they would call me back. Or, I did set up some appointments with some people that didn't answer. They ghosted me when I finally called them. But when you're dealing with people, you're going to get a little bit of that. But you're also going to get a lot of people who totally appreciate what you're trying to do. We never look down on them. They are, and so we treated them with total respect. That's the key to this. Treating them with respect. They feel seen. And I can't think of anything more fulfilling than being a digital navigator.
Before we wrap up our conversation today, is there anything else that I may have forgotten that you'd like to highlight?
We're here to give them kind of just a roundabout package to help them be able to move into the digital age and not be at a disadvantage just because they're asset limited.
We're looking forward to helping close the gap in our Suncoast region. Once again, Joni, thank you for joining me today. Listeners, if you know someone who would benefit from meeting with a digital navigator like Joni to connect to opportunities to obtain low-cost internet, devices, skill support, and training, please scan the QR code on your screen. To learn more and to stay tuned, please visit thepattersonfoundation.org.